Hello, beauties. Welcome to another episode of The Calling with my dear, beautiful friend and co-creator, Alexia Vlahos Kolokasides.
Hi.
Alexia, I'm so happy that you're here. I have another shivery.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my God. You're so welcome. I'm so happy. So Alexia, for those who would like to know officially, she is a transformative coach. She's working in soul level, soul frequencies, activator. However, I'm going to borrow from another friend a wording of what I see in Alexia. So, yeah, in my heart eyes, she's a carrier of frequency, miracle frequency.
Wow.
I'm witnessing you. We know each other for 6 months, more or less.
Yeah.
And I'm witnessing you in so many conversations, and I'm witnessing so many of your stories and your life story. And it feels like you are making love with the miracle frequency. So many situations in your life and the way that you lead yourself in life and the way that you lead others, it's always like a flirt. And it cannot be something else, right? With a miracle frequency, it's really like a flirt. This is happening, and this is happening, and to say the right word in the right time, and this specific beautiful connection that you have with the Ascendance Masters. This is so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Homaya. I received that. And I appreciate you. And the last 6 months co-creating with you have been a miracle. Just meeting you and knowing that you are one of my sisters from another life, maybe even another cosmos. I don't know. And just following that nudge, that's part of the miracle, like helping people to follow that nudge, follow those whispers.
Yeah. But there's something in you, there's something in your frequency, there's something that many times when we have a conversation, I ask you a question, and maybe we're going to witness that here because I'm probably going to ask you a few questions. But what I experience many times is that I ask you a question, you start answering like a human, and then the frequency shift, and you move into a channeling mode. And it's like you don't start in a channeling mode. You start like human, driving your car, and then somehow you gear up. And I don't know how you do that, but I'm witnessing it so many times. You gear up, you enter into channeling mode, and then you start giving voice code, like it's, oh, someone need to write it, someone need to record it, because it's like this such a pure, elevated wisdom coming through, and in such a perfect geometry. It is just there.
I like the way you describe that. Driving the car and gearing up. It just happens. And I think it's because of my commitment to being obedient to whatever wants to be said, and really honoring and being in integrity with truth and trusting. But yeah, I appreciate that reflection, because my family doesn't really tell me that.
Yeah, I am aware that you're not that aware that this is what you're doing. I'm aware that you're not that aware, and I'm aware that there is a feeling inside of you afterwards, after you're giving this transmission, there's this feeling of, wow, like an accomplishment.
Yes.
There's really this feeling.
Yeah.
But I wonder, do you remember in your life when was the time, the situation where you felt the presence of the Ascendance Masters? I know you speak a lot about your connection to Jesus and to Maria as Ascendance Masters, but I wonder if you remember an experience, if you remember an initiation when this portal was awakened.
As a child, I always felt connected. I always felt somehow, you know how probably you maybe had the same thing, like the grown-ups around us would tell us, God is watching, behave yourself, God is watching, God knows the truth. And it's like putting this fear, a little bit of a fear inside to not do anything out of line. But even at that young age, I always felt, this is not a God. That's not my God. That's not my God. My God is watching, but it's not like with a finger pointing at me. So I did have that at a young age. And then I'll never forget when I think I was 12 or maybe 14. I'm a Greek Orthodox. I've been baptized, all the things and everything, but I don't consider myself as religious. The age of about 13, I went on a camping trip with my maths teacher. And I had no idea what this camping trip was about. I just knew that I wanted to go to this camping trip. It was the Agape Club of Love, and they were doing this camping trip. My parents had no idea what it was about either, but I went. And on that camping trip, I said yes to Jesus coming into my heart, like fully consciously at the age of 13. And I think that was an initiation for me on the conscious level. And then just walking that path consciously into my life. And I remember coming back from that trip. This is a bit trivial, but it made a mark on my life. I remember coming back from that trip and I got dropped off by friends at my dad's shop. My dad had a supermarket and takeaway, typical Greek business. And I got out the car, they left, and it was a big road. It was a 3-lane road. And there was this huge cardboard box in the middle of the road, like just lying there, quite dangerous. And nobody was going and taking this box out of the way. And in my heart, I could feel a voice telling me, go and move the box out of the road. I'm like 12 years old, and this is a huge road, and there was no grown-ups around with me. My dad was in the shop working. I was like, okay, I'll go and I'll move it. So I went and I moved the box out of the road. And as I'm sharing this with you, I'm like getting another download that, okay, we're moving blocks,
Out of the road.
out of the roads so that people can have a safe path to drive. Okay. And sorry. So that stayed with me. Yeah, that stayed with me for such a long time, and still to this day, that you're on the path, you get to follow this voice inside of you. It was like not even a voice, it was more like a light guiding me. Go this way, go that way. Don't do that. It's not for you. You can do that. That's for you. Stay with that person. That person's not for you. A lot of that guidance was happening in my life, and I was obedient to it as a choice, right? It was a choice for me to be obedient to it. I could have easily not been obedient to it, but I was. And yeah, that was how my life unfolded, and it still unfolds with this obedience and trusting the light, trusting the intuition, trusting the dreams. Yeah.
I love that you so peacefully use the word obedience, because it's almost, when you look around, there's so much rebel energy.
Yeah.
And on the spiritual path, part of the spiritual path is connection.
Yeah.
I remember I had a conversation, right? I had a conversation with a friend a few years ago who told me he had his idea about first part of his life is for that, the second part of his life is for money making and business and so on, and the third part of his life will be for spirituality. And I heard this so many times.
Yeah.
And yeah, I said to him, you're not going to decide when it's going to happen.
Not up to you, sorry.
Yeah, if this is for you, it is for you. Like, you can open up to spirituality because you decide to. That is an option. But it's really about creating connection and being involved. And then there was a moment where he was saying to me, but that he doesn't need a teacher.
Mm.
And I said, there's something in spirituality that initiation is part of the game.
Mm-hmm.
And your dynamic with whomever is with you, not because there is hierarchy, but because there is a belonging.
Yeah.
So yes, you do have a teacher. You do have an ascendance masters that you're working with. You do have spirit guides. Like those things exist.
Yes.
And it doesn't make you smaller. It's just the human mind, the normal matrix thinking is that if I have a teacher, or if I have an ascendance master, or if I have someone guiding me on the path, then I am lower, then I am smaller, then I am less, which is so far from the truth. The truth is that we're all equal. If they are so mighty, then why would they communicate with us even? Why would they need us? No, it's just like there is this quality that human frequency is bringing. There's this quality that angelic frequency is bringing. There's a quality that comes from spirit guides and quality that comes from an ascendance master. And we all work in a communion.
Yes.
And we cannot exclude ourselves. And in that place, when you use obedience, I feel that you're saying the same that I surrender to light, Jesus surrendered to light, and we are all obedient on this path.
Yeah.
And that changed the frequency of the word so much because it gives power and clarity. And this is devotion. You cannot say I'm devoted, but I'm not obedient. No, your obedience with love is devotion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I love that. It's beautiful. And exactly about that, how if you look at the obedience of Jesus, wow, what an example. If that can be done at the human level, then we can be obedient to the light that is pouring through us. And you mentioned something, and it just brought like the word fractals. Like we're fractals of God, of Source, of Jesus, of each other. And the masters, the spiritual guides, the angelic guides, they're also fractals. And we're all in this beautiful spectrum of light. And we can even say like we're weaving light together for this heaven on earth experience.
Yeah.
And we require all the tones and shades of light, right? If you look at a rainbow and all the different spectrums, and even if you like take a diamond and you shine light through the diamond, and how many spectrums of light like split because of the diamond.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It is. It is. And then how can you think to yourself that your spiritual path is about something else than finding your, I love to use the word singularity, finding your singularity in the whole.
Yes. Yeah.
As part of the whole. You cannot find your singularity by yourself.
No.
You cannot just, decide, no, it's about this dynamics, this connection on a human level, on etheric level. And finding yourself as a ray of this diamond light, like finding yourself as one of those rays, as one of the facets of something is there. It's the ego that can think about separation, but once you are activated spiritually, it's connections.
Yes, I agree fully. Can you imagine a rainbow with a few of those colors missing because they decided to be on their own? It's ridiculous, right? And we're that. We're the rainbow. We're the spectrum. We're it all.
But I do know also from your stories that you did had this experience that you were called more intensely during your life, right?
Which experience of all are you talking about?
I'm thinking about this drive.
Yeah. Yes.
Your birthday gift.
Yes. Yeah.
Do you want to share the story?
I will. Yes. We can even put it in like a beautiful analogy. We're all on this road, on this journey. We're all driving in a car and we have the passengers with us. And it was a beautiful fall day, but it was like still the end of summer for us. The day before my birthday, 22nd of October, 2017, I think. Yeah, 2017. And we had been on this gorgeous picnic in a forest here on the island with friends and family. And it was just was one of those days where you'd like want to take a photograph and just keep it forever, and you want to freeze time. And we were in the forest. It was just so beautiful. And Sophia had just started walking, and she was like exploring, and Cristiano was with the boys and doing the barbecues and playing and bikes and all of that. And we had a beautiful day. And of course, like all things, we have to end, we have to go home. So at some point we packed up and we got in the car and we started our journey home. The journey home was about an hour long. So we were driving home and we were on the road, and I was texting and my husband was driving, and something made me look up at my husband while he was driving, and all I saw was his face squinting and then him turning the steering wheel to obviously avoid something in the road. I didn't manage to see what he was avoiding, but afterwards I saw we had a head-on collision with somebody who had come out onto the main road, and it was very scary. The car was basically, it felt like it was lifted on a cloud onto the side of the road, on the side of the road, like a little bit of a hill. And I remember I remember feeling blue light. When we came out of that crash, the car was a complete write-off. But I remember when I heard my kids crying and screaming, I was like, okay, thank God they're alive. Cristiano had been sleeping and he was woken up from the crash. Sophia, she had blood pouring out of her mouth because she had bit her lip or her tongue. Other than that, we just had a few scratches and we were fine. I really believe that we had an angel over us. I really believe that. And then ambulances, police, the news, we were on the news that night. The road was closed off for hours and we spent the night in hospital just for observation. But the next day, people were calling me to wish me happy birthday, people that didn't know that I was in a car accident. And they were wishing me happy birthday and they were saying, how are you? And I was obviously saying, I'm okay, I'm in hospital actually, and then explain the story. And most people were like, oh my God, I'm so sorry you're spending your birthday in hospital. And I was like, on the contrary, I'm actually very grateful that I'm alive. And I'm alive in a hospital with my kids, and we're alive and we're safe and we're well. It was actually a celebration instead of a horrid, tragic event. And one of the most important pieces that came out of that for me and my husband, I think it was probably that same day when we were leaving the hospital. We got home, we settled the kids down, and we just looked at each other and we said, this wasn't a random event, that we had a huge car accident, cars are write-off, and we're alive, and the kids are alive and we're well. It wasn't random. This was a tap on the shoulder, more like a slap in the face. And it was a message that you've got work to do and you're asleep and you get to wake up and you get to live your life on your terms and doing what you're meant to be doing on this planet, whatever that is, right? And we said, because my husband and I, we have dreams, we had visions, we had plans, and somehow, somewhere along the line, those just got on a pile, on a list, of to do, and they never actually got done, this is how life gets, and especially when you have a family. And that's what happened. Like, this accident was actually a wake-up call, a blessing that triggered us and projected us into a way of living that is very intentional, that is very aligned with our values and with how we choose to live as a married couple in union, in sacred union, and as how we choose to raise our kids. So after that, a couple of months down the line, it was also when I was starting to really dive into my business. And that was actually when I hired my first mentor. And I knew that things were on track because when I wanted to invest in this mentor, I didn't have that money lying around, like most people don't, right? But the blessing was, this is how God weaves, right? The blessing came because the insurance company hadn't paid out our claim for the damage to the car for months. And we were driving a loan from the car company that we had bought our car from, and they were just loaning us this little pile of junk and we were driving that around. But for months, the insurance company hadn't paid us back from the damage. And the money came at the exact time that I was wanting to hire my mentor. So this is just like a blessing in disguise, a beautiful timeline unfolding. And it was from that point, experiencing deep mentorship back then, like we're talking, it was 2017, 2018, I think, was when I hired her. And from there, when I began to realize, wow, because I was already a coach, but having that guidance, and this is the guidance that you speak of earlier as well, having that guidance, the teacher, the support by my side to really like peel back the stories and really go deep into, okay, so why am I compromising on my life? Why am I settling in my values? Why am I lowering my standards? Going deep into all of that. And that's when my business started to really get on track and really start to get on the path. And obviously my family, everything related to relationships, it was really the key that unlocked that deeper intentional way of living, the deeper and intentional heart service in the world, and really being sovereign. Yeah.
What do you feel when you started looking at your work with your mentor? And I felt that although you were telling your story at that part, I felt that you were telling their story, our story, the story of resistance to growth.
Yeah.
Because it's not that you were not aligned and not an amazing mother before that accident or an amazing partner. Like I know stories from before the accidents, and I know that you were with high standards and with high values. And then still there was a place for restructure and realignment, which I feel that some people sometimes are just saying, okay, oh wow, big shift, let me do the big shift, and then are actually staying stagnated there.
Yeah.
So this is something that I love you to riff about. And also when you were speaking about with your mentor, where you realize how much you're holding yourself back, I can say in my words.
Yeah.
So now that you're also guiding others and you refine your devotion and following your truth and following your heart, what do you feel about this? The resistance that doesn't seem like a resistance, but is there. You just stand still.
It's quite subtle. It's so subtle that you can miss it. And yet, like when I pray every day, I ask that I be shown. Show me what I haven't seen yet. Show me what I'm still not seeing in this area of my life or in this relationship or on this intention that I have. Show me. And then things start to happen. So you have to be careful what you ask for. But the way I work with my clients is that we go deep into what is this? Where is the soul bringing you? Where is your soul bringing you? And are you willing to go to dive into that? Are you willing to, even if you look at your relationships, are you really being all of you in your relationship? Or are there parts of you that you're like holding back because he doesn't need to know. It's not important. Or, it's not the time now. In your business, if I go in with my business, I'm all about the sovereignty. I'm all about taking a radical stand with your soul. I'm all about walking shoulder to shoulder with people that are really walking the talk and being vulnerable, right? So when people come to me and they ask me questions like, I don't feel like I feel like my freedom is going to be taken away from me if I say yes to this, or I feel like by having a family, I'm going to lose my freedom. So that is like a nuance of the resistance that your ego is bringing up for you because of what's on the other side, and because the fullness of you that is going to be experienced on the other side of that resistance, your ego doesn't know.
It cannot.
Exactly. And what the ego doesn't know, it categorizes as, okay, that's not safe. It's not safe to go there. We don't know that area. We don't know that forest. We don't know that road. So let's rather play safe and go on the road that we know.
Yeah.
If you live truly led by your soul and you come to this edge, we talk about the edge, and you come to this edge and you're like, am I really being asked to do this? Is this really it? And you get the answer. And you have the courage to actually step through. I can guarantee you almost that you're going to be so grateful that you summoned the courage to actually just take that next step into that edge. And it doesn't have to be dramatic or like a massive overhaul of your life. That's sometimes what the ego thinks. But if you say yes in that moment and you trust and you go into that edge and you feel what that feels like and then more, that's being led by your soul. And the resistances, you'll start to notice them even more, but you'll also be more, you'll be like, okay, I'm seeing this playing out. I understand what's next. I don't know what's next, but I understand that there is a next, and it's something that my ego is afraid of. So I'm going to retrain myself to trust that I'm always safe, that I'm always taken care of, that God always has my back, that no matter what happens, even if it's a huge car accident, life-threatening experience, I am going to be provided for. I'm going to be taken care of. And everything is happening for my highest good.
Yeah, and it's not only that I would be provided and taken care of. I will be provided and taken care of in the most exquisite way.
Exactly.
God is seeing me.
Yeah.
And not like me, the human,
Yes.
is seeing me.
Yeah. Yes. I love to say you begin to see yourself through the lens of God when you start to live in that edge. Because what's truly unfolding, what's truly being created is not by your hands. It's not by your hands. You basically being obedient as a participant of a tapestry and a masterpiece that God wants to weave in your life. Another thing that I always say, not always, but I do sometimes pray this. I pray, God, use me to wow the world through me. Do what you want through me, through my life. Let the words come through me that you need people to hear. That it lands in a way that they can feel you inside of them. They feel you. They feel your presence. They feel the truth of Creator. And
in your experience?
I was going to say, resistance is always going to come up. There's always going to be a layer of resistance because we're designed to grow. We're designed to expand. We're designed to, get more wise, grow in general. So when something is growing, it's always touching an edge. And you're touching the next edge and the next edge and the next edge. So there's always going to be this resistance. But when you know how that works, you're able to move through those edges and the transitions of your life with grace. Maybe not always ease, but at least there's grace. And then you get to look back and connect all the dots. That's the masterpiece. So you go ahead. What did you want to ask?
I wanted to dive deeper in your experience when you were speaking about this dynamic that you feel inside of you in conversations with God and so on. Can you give words how it been felt through you? Because it's
an overwhelming love.
But can you see yourself as that at that moment?
I can feel it through me. I can feel it moving through me and out of me, like as a field.
Yeah, but then it is moving through you and out of you. But the fountain, the source,
something like that,
is not coming to you, right? It is moving through you and out of you, but it is born within you.
It's sourced within me. Yes, I see that you know the feeling.
No, it's just I feel that this really needs to come, and it's very relevant in the conversation, because I feel that this specific conversation that we're having somehow, maybe because of our dynamic, I feel that we feel very equal, that there's no, I feel that one of the things that I have with you is that I know 100% that anything about the appearance is irrelevant.
Yeah.
Like any titles, any physical appearance, any measurements of what is possible, what is not possible, what's been done, like
Yes.
irrelevant. And I feel that with you, and I feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that I feel so comfortable to be with you. And I feel that as we had this conversation, we already started by speaking about the dynamic that we have with others, the dynamics that we have with the Ascendance Masters, the dynamic that we have with Source, and this calling and following the calling and obedience and so on. I feel that it's also really important that we highlight in this conversation, we bring into this conversation also the aspect that is saying, we are all a representation of divinity. We said that. Like we are all those facets of the diamond. We are all those rays that are coming out of the diamond. We're all those shades and like variations of colors on the rainbow. And then at the same time, as part of its multidimensionality, it is also being born within us.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're speaking about obedience, but we're speaking about obedience to our highest, purest, and freest presence.
Yeah.
And free in the sense of it is detached. It is attached and detached at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, I love how you put that, because I certainly don't take titles and things into consideration. And that's been something that I've had since a kid as well. Like I can walk up to the Queen and treat her like anybody else. I actually have a distaste for hierarchy, to be honest with you. Doesn't sit very well with me. And at the same time, I am in acceptance of that's what is currently here on the planet, right? Not for long, maybe. Like diving into what you shared, the attached and yet not attached, that's real. And even in everyday life, like we might find ourselves attached to something, attached to an idea, attached to an identity. And then when you go deeper into that, you can choose to be unattached to that. And then you're free from that. So the truth is you're free anyway. You've been free from the beginning, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now it's the remembrance of that.
Yeah.
It's that whole remembrance, and we've got to go back to go forward. Yeah. And it's all there. It's all here.
Yeah.
We've got the spiral, we've got the codes, we've got the records, it's all there. And we working with the waters and the sacred codes of the waters and everything that is brought to us. It's all part of that. Yeah, I think it's important to have the connection to what we believe is our source. For me, it's God. It's been very clear for me. I did used to have an attachment to, oh my gosh, how am I gonna differentiate, or how am I gonna make the connection between my spirituality, my relationship with God, and my religion as an Orthodox Christian, as a Greek Orthodox Christian? And then the main piece there was my mother. And I realized my mother had a piece of that for me. And then when I actually went into that, it was like, oh, okay, it's not even a thing anymore. There is nothing to merge, or I get to be completely me. But we got to have the obedience to look at these facets that come up for us. There's a reason why things come up for us. There's a reason why, I don't know, something that your partner said to you in the morning has stuck with you or it's triggered you. There's a reason why you woke up this morning and you feel a sense of sadness or grief. There's a reason why you don't feel like that decision is actually the right decision to make. And I'll give you a very plain and simple daily example that just happened in our lives now. Our dog, Amelia, she's 4 years old, and we actually booked an appointment for her to go and get neutered so that she doesn't have babies. She's never had babies. And we thought, okay, we should go do that because every time she sees her period, we got all the neighbors around, all the dogs from all over come to visit us. And it's, oh my God, we're going to keep her in the house. So it was a bit of a thing. And so we said, okay, let's just go get her spayed and we won't have this issue anymore. And then her appointment was on Tuesday. But come Monday, I was like, I don't feel this is the right decision. It doesn't feel that it's okay. And it's just a plain and very random and mundane thing. But for me, she's like a child. She's our child. She's our baby. And to go and have a surgery on her to make my life easier and simpler for a couple of days in the year, it just didn't feel in alignment with my values of freedom, sovereignty, and being connected and in relationship with all of life and all beings. Now, if you ask any doctor or any veterinarian, they're going to tell you, you should do it for this and this and this and this reason. Sure, valid. I get it. And you get to also tune in and to have that conversation.
I'm so happy you didn't do it.
Yeah. And Sophia, my daughter, she's for the whole week, she was saying, no, Mom, you're not going to take her. She's not going to go for surgery. No, she was like totally against it. And then we were like in contemplation. And my husband, this Monday night, he was like, you know what, I've also been feeling a bit weird about this. We're not going to take her. Phone and cancel the appointment in the morning. Cancelled it. And we feel so much better. So we gotta pay attention to these, like your body is showing you all the time. This is how intelligent we are and how connected we are with the field and with the higher intelligence that's always weaving with us. But we've been conditioned, brainwashed to not be connected, to outsource our power, to outsource our answers to whatever system and organization that we ask. And I won't go into the medicine, but anyway, you know me and my view on that, on mainstream medicine and doctors, and yeah.
You can go there, but you mentioned something that is part of our connection on what do we receive, and you said all the water that we receive, the codes that are coming through the water.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've had so many beautiful miracle experiences while immersed in water. I live by the sea, but also when we travel, and I'm being called by the waters. Last year we were in Ithaca. I'll tell you the story quickly. Ithaca is a tiny little island in the Ionian Sea. It's a Greek island, and my dad was born there. So we got there. It's not an easy journey. It's very challenging. There's bus rides and ferry rides and plane rides and everything. But we got there, and I still have family there. So that whole experience in and of itself, going back and seeing my dad's family and seeing how they live their lives, brought up a lot for me as well, and around the programming of what people perceive as a lifestyle and being a slave to your work and having to provide to your family in a certain way. So it brought up a lot for me. And it was, all of my travels are this type of travels where I actually work. I see everything as an opportunity to like work on myself and to refine that thread, that essence of my soul. So we were at this gorgeous beach one day, and my kids were playing on the beach, and I told, my sister came with us. I said to her, just watch the kids, and because I need to go out. So the sea's calling me, I need to go out for a swim, or in for a swim. And I swam out, and I floated on the waters for a while on my back, and my ears, my whole body were immersed in the water, and I could just feel this pulse, this pulsing connection. I felt so connected to the earth and to the waters. And it felt like you know how when you see movies and you like a sonar moving in the water, like that pulse, that magnetic pulse, and you actually see the frequencies in the water. That's how I felt. I felt like I was having this pulsing magnetic connection in the water. And I began a conversation with Mother Earth through the waters. And I was saying, thank you so much. I receive you. I thank you. I'm here. I can hear you. I can feel you. And everything is basically what I was receiving, that you're on track. You're good. And I was in such receiving mode and in such gratitude. And then when I was complete, I just lifted my head and I opened my eyes, and this huge school of fish just jumped out of the water right in front of me like a rainbow. And I was like, oh my God. And I got goosebumps now. And I was like, there's just that gift, that confirmation that you've been heard and you've also heard and you've received. And it's this beautiful weaving, constant weaving with the field, with the quantum, you can connect with a fish in the Philippines if you wanted to. We have this. We can do that. I went back to the beach and I swam back and I sat down next to my sister and I said to her, you won't believe what happened. She said, what happened? And I told her, and she says, yeah, you're just a sea lizard, Alexia. There's nothing special about it. She was teasing me. And she was trying to like make it sound like you're imagining things. But I know I'm not. So there's nothing imaginary about connecting
The
with
thing
Earth.
is that it's not about true or false. I feel that this is really something important.
Yes.
It's not about if you're right or you're wrong, if this is a true or false.
Yes.
It is really about a certain frequency that you can get to live your life through that.
Yes.
You have all the frequencies. If what is important for you is to mentalize why things are happening because there's a cause and an effect and there's logic and unlogic, you get to live this. It's the same experience. You will see a fish jumping and you will calculate gravitation if this is what's the frequency that you're at.
Being scared they jumped out in front of you.
And you can have the same experience while you are in expansion and unity and wonder.
Yes.
You get to live life as you like, in that option and in that option. And actually you can even alternate if this is what you like.
Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong. There is what is the frequency that you're aligning with and how it makes you feel. You cannot mentalize life.
Yeah.
Then, like you take part of the rainbow.
Exactly. Yeah. So bringing it back to the water, I have this beautiful vision. It's not really beautiful. It looks like a big, massive scribble on this big paper, but it's my vision that I did in 2021. And there's just waves. There's waves all over this vision, and there's water and there's all the elements, and there's a lot of other stuff as well. But somehow the water made its way on this vision. And you know why?
Yeah.
We're on this path of discovering our true essence through the waters, which holds all the memory, all the remembrance,
all the wisdom,
everything. And people are awakening to this inner intelligence and inner wisdom. And it's really profound how we forgot who we are and now how we're remembering who we are and why we're here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Alexia.
Oh, my darling. Did I tell you about my dream? About the waters?
Tell me.
I don't know if I told you. So we had, at the beginning of this year, January, I think it was around 9th of January, there were also I think there were solar flares. There was a big solar flare on the 8th of January. And I woke up the next morning after this dream and I texted a friend. I said to her, hey, I had this dream and I was walking down the street with Sophia and I looked back and there was this huge tsunami coming for us. Huge tsunami. And the one thing that was clear in the dream was that I felt no sense of fear. I felt no sense of needing to run for protection or to protect or to save my child. Zero. It was just like, oh, cool. So the waters, this tsunami wave of awakening. It's not only awakening, it's awakening, it's enlightenment, it's people waking up to being able to live this way. Oh, cool. Let's ride. Let's surf the wave. Let's be in a prosperous way of living in all areas of our lives, even through the challenges, even through the chaos. We can still feel and be beautiful in our exchanges, loving, compassionate, prosperous in our hearts, generous, and in service. For people, a tsunami can be chaos and destruction. For me, it was beauty, elevation, prosperity, abundance, health, light. And it can be both. But what are we choosing? What are we choosing, and where are we choosing to live life? On which side?
Yeah. So the listeners of this podcast, those who are really devoted to listen, the first episode was with Jack, my mentor, Jacqueline Shah.
Yeah.
She had a similar dream.
I know. When I heard her podcast, I was like, wow, that's interesting. Yeah. And I also want to bring in the piece that our children are so not random in our lives. When my son's name is Cristiano and my daughter's name is Sophia, I'm sure your listeners know about the Christ consciousness and the Sophia wisdom and the unified masculine, feminine, whatever. That the Christ consciousness, or the Christed humans, or their scenes. I didn't choose their names on purpose for that. I had no idea about this stuff when my kids were born. Honestly, I was not that awakened
about it.
Consciously, I was not that awakened to who I was.
Yeah.
But then along the line, I look back and I'm connecting the dots, and I'm like, how God weaves for us. It's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
For us, through us, and as us.
Exactly.
Thank you, my love.
Thank you, my darling.
Thank you for this conversation, and any conversation with you feels always so good. So thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for this sweet feminine inspiration.
Thank you for the space, Homaya. Thank you for creating this amazing podcast, The Calling. It's very unique in frequency. You are unique in frequency. For everything you represent, in your life, and I know in your containers, and for who you are. It's a real blessing to be with you in human form and to know you in this life. And I can't wait to see you in person again.
Soon.
Yeah, very soon. Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you. Bless you.
Bless you.